just the way I'm wired up. I am wired up in a certain way that my chemicals and body goes into overdrive and goes, give me more of that. Hey folks, it's Finn. Welcome back folks. So as you can see, lots is changing around me again. I keep moving places in my office as I'm gradually getting this sorted after moving. But this is now going to be my filming area. And I'm just trying something different today. I'm sitting down. My gratitude wall still needs to go up, but at least it is all coming together. And you've still got the sheep as requested. Wouldn't be a Finn video without a sheep somewhere, would it? So August is a huge month for me. There's lots of anniversaries that I celebrate, but the biggest and most important one that I celebrate on the 17th of August is that I am now 11 years clean and sober. That's no alcohol for 11 years, no drugs for 11 years. Actually, I'm clean of a very lot for 11 years, but it's 11 years since I began my recovery with Alcoholics Anonymous, and my whole life changed beyond all recognition. It is true what they say. And what I wanted to talk about today was a question I'm frequently asked by many people that makes a lot of sense. And that is, if I'm now clean and sober for 11 years, why do I still choose to call myself an alcoholic? It's not the best label in the world, is it? So yes, I am known for being somebody that isn't a great fan of labels. I think labels are great because they can help us to find ourselves and understand ourselves, but they should only ever be as a starting point. We should be able to move within labels, between labels, not have labels. It's all about finding out who we are, label free. So if that is the case, why am I still choosing to label myself an alcoholic? Let's talk about that. So I got sober with Alcoholics Anonymous, and there is often a lot of controversy from people who aren't in AA about the way it works. It does have some quite outdated language, some quite outdated ways of thinking, but do you know what? It works. I think it's like anything in life, isn't it? There is so much good in everything, and you can find bad in anything if you're looking hard enough. But the fact of the matter is, for the vast majority of people, Alcoholics Anonymous works. And that's what's important, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's about what's right for us. We all are very different human beings, thank goodness. And Alcoholics Anonymous worked for me. Now, in Alcoholics Anonymous, there is the idea that you are never recovered. And I agree with this. Bear with me. The view in AA is of alcohol being an allergy of sorts. So that you have an allergy to alcohol. That means that whenever I have a drink, it sets off, this allergy to alcohol sets off a craving so that I can't stop. So if I have a drink, I'll be on a full bender and I won't be able to stop. And whenever I'm not drinking, because I still have alcohol in my system that's been activated, the craving is there. And this is why we stop drinking, because if we don't drink, we don't set off that craving. Make sense? So if we think about, for example, a peanut allergy. You will always be allergic to peanuts if you're allergic to peanuts, but as long as you don't have a peanut, you won't get the bad effects from that peanut. But you don't stop being allergic to peanuts, do you? You're still allergic, and you remember that you're allergic to them so that you don't eat them. Do you see where I'm going here? So this is the same for me. This is why I still call myself an alcoholic, because I am in recovery as long as I don't drink. But should I ever forget that I'm an alcoholic and drink, it will set off that allergy and that craving for drink, and I won't be able to stop. And this life that I have today, that I'm so blessed to have because of my recovery, would be gone in an instant. I know that my behaviour has not changed. I am an addict through and through. You've only got to look at my use of Ben & Jerry's ice cream to see that. I mean, I laugh at this every day, and people that follow me on social media know it's a common thing that I'm always trying to address. I have an addiction to ice cream. I do. It's become my new thing. And I can be very bad with ice cream. I can have 3 or 4 tubs a week if I'm not watching myself. It's just the way I'm wired up. I am wired up in a certain way that my chemicals and body goes into overdrive and goes, give me more of that. And I actually watch myself now with ice cream saying, like, tomorrow's going to be different. I'm not going to have any ice cream tomorrow. I'm going to have a couple of days off it. And then there I am, sat in front of Netflix, scoffing a tub of Ben & Jerry's. And that's what it was like with alcohol. Day in and day out, I would say I wouldn't drink. And by being clean and sober and just not drinking at all, then that craving isn't started ever again. So the reason I call myself an alcoholic still is to remind myself that I'm an alcoholic. The thing with alcoholism is it's a really, really cunning illness that can tell you that you haven't got it. Sneaky little bugger. So, you know, there might be some times where I'm thinking, or maybe I'm going for a walk. This one happens sometimes. I could be going for a walk, say along a lovely river or a beach, and I see people out in the gardens of the pubs drinking a beer or a wine. I think to myself, oh, it'd be really nice to just sit and have a glass of wine and a glass of beer. That would be lovely. Folks, I've never had one glass of anything unless there was just absolutely nothing available and nothing open anywhere. So this alcoholism in me still will tell me this kind of ideal life that I would have if I could have a drink, and will convince me, if I'm not careful, that I've been 11 years now, it would be safe to just have one. So for this reason, like if I had a peanut allergy, no matter how much I fancied a Snickers bar, I would know if I had a Snickers, I could be really ill, worst case scenario, die. It's the same for me as an alcoholic. If I have a drink now, even at 11 years, I could set off a craving which would then make me want 2 drinks, a bottle, a week's bender, a year's bender, and then I've lost the life I have now, and I might even lose my life because I was close to it before. So it does seem a very strange thing that somebody like me, who is very much not into labels, I've got so many diagnoses, and I never really talk about labels. I talk about feelings, I talk about ways I manage them. I don't really focus on a label. I'm me with certain challenges that I do certain things about that help. But with alcoholism, I treat that very differently because I know it's important for me on a daily basis to remind myself that I'm an alcoholic and to remind myself what would happen if I had that drink. I'm in recovery because of this mindset. I've stayed in recovery because of this mindset. Through all the very difficult things that have happened, my gender transition, mum dying, all of these were calling to me to drink. But because I remembered and I've ingrained it in myself that I am an alcoholic, that will never change, that's what keeps me sober. Does that make sense? But as I say, this is just me. It is always so important that we find our own way of doing things. I think when we're early in recovery or early anything, it's a really good idea to have a label. It's a really good idea to have a program. Because let's face it, if something works for the vast majority of people and we want it to work for us, then let's just do it that way. And then when we're a little further down the line, then we can make our own way forward. And I think that's the key here, isn't it? In early days of AA, I did everything completely by the book. But as my recovery's gone on, I do things certainly slightly differently. I don't go to meetings as often as I once did. Things like that. You know, it's all about, in the early days, just doing what we need to do to stay sober. And then as time goes on, we can then find our own way forward. For me, this is the way forward. To always call myself an alcoholic. To always connect with AA. I'm so grateful to have 11 years. I'm so grateful to have this life I have now that I don't want to risk it. So it's my way forward. That's why I call myself an alcoholic. And I hope that makes sense. But of course, everyone should be free to label themselves in the best way that works for them. Because there is nothing wrong with labels, per se. It's simply the way we use them that's either right or wrong. That got a bit soapboxy then, didn't it? So there you go. Those are the reasons why I still call myself an alcoholic. An alcoholic in recovery, but an alcoholic nonetheless. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do let me know by subscribing. I make videos every week and they're out on a Tuesday, mostly. And if you want to go a step further and support the work I do, you can become a supporter or a member, and I'll put a link up to where you can find more information about that. As a member or supporter, you get lots of additional exclusives, you get more access to me, like members knew about my office revamp and they've already seen lots of pictures of it developing along the way. So if you want to get more of an inside scoop and more access to me, do visit the link above. Thanks for watching, folks. Take care of yourselves. See you next week.